Everyone, welcome back to Riffs and Gigs interviews. My name is Riley, and here I am with 2 out of 5 of Rogue Awakening. Hello.
Hello.
Hey. Hello.
So we were chatting a little bit before we started recording. Unfortunately, is just the two of you.
It is. It's very sad. I'm sorry, but we'll try and bring the charisma of the entire band if we can.
Fortunately, you've got the two most important members, so there you go.
Exactly. They're the only ones that matter. That's what Kimberly says. She's like, guitar is all that matters about this band. So yeah, we're all good.
Is it just the two guitars?
It is, yeah. I mean, some people would say that is too many, but yeah. So I do rhythm and Ollie does lead. I do a bit of backing vocals as well, and a bit of nonsense in between songs. So yeah, but Ollie's working way too hard to do any of that stuff when he's doing some crazy sweeping techniques, etc. So yeah,
I've started taking on a bit of the harsh vocals as well, just to sort of fill in on a couple of the songs, but nothing major.
So then, obviously, kind of the other members that aren't here tonight are obviously like the singer, bassist, drummer, things like that.
yes,
Yeah,
indeed. So you go, Ollie.
No, you go. You start it.
So yeah, we have Kimberly, who is the star of the show. So she is our lead singer. And then we have James, who is our drummer. Bass is yeah, we're in a transition period. So from the start of the band, so 3 years, we've had Nick, and sadly Nick has decided to step away from the band for personal reasons. Again, it's all very positive, but again, it was a life decision for him because again, the band does take up a lot of energy, it takes up a lot of space. So yeah, we've got some people we're kind of trying out at the moment, but no one who's kind of 100% confirmed. So yeah, it's a bit of a transition period, but it's all good, it's all exciting. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting back to full strength.
So is that then kind of any live shows, kind of having them more as like depping or sessioning, and or are you kind of waiting until you've got that full strength lineup before you get back gigging again?
No, we're still going with the gigs. So yeah, we've got some guys. Cause we're quite lucky now because we kind of know quite a lot of people on the scene. So we actually had loads of people who were kind of like, yeah, if you want to dep, like, well, I'll come in and do that for the show. Although it's then difficult because then you spend the time teaching them the songs and teaching them all the stuff when you kind of want to do that ideally with someone. So we've got someone at the moment who's kind of got up to speed for the next gig, which is a week Friday in Worthing. Yeah, with Bleed Again and Glass Grave, which should be really good. I think that'll be really good. So yeah, we've managed to kind of keep all the gigs that we said we do, because Nick was really great and he kind of said, look, I don't want to let anyone down. So he did the shows that we kind of committed to up to a certain point. So yeah, it's a real shame to see him go because he's kind of founding member of the band. But again, we all totally understand that family has to come first and all the rest of it. So yes, onwards and upwards, as I say.
So then, how did you guys or how did the band come together then?
Do you want to take this one, Ollie?
Yeah, this is a story that's been told quite a few times, I think, isn't it? So it started in COVID, didn't it? I think with Tom here and Kim meeting at school, wasn't it? Your school gates, dropping your kids off and whatnot,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
trying to sort of self-isolate and what's the word? You have to stay 6 meters apart from everyone, all that kind of. Sorry, can I just confirm? Are we allowed to swear on this?
Yeah.
Are you going to bleep me out? Oh, okay, cool. All that kind of. I don't want to be like Big Brother and be like, oh, yeah, you can't swear, please. But no, so yeah, you guys started doing a little acoustic-y covery duet thing for a little while, didn't you?
Yeah, which is nothing to do with what we do now, but it was a good start.
And then I think you guys found Kyle, who is Kim's best friend's husband, who used to drum back in his sort of college years, I think, but he was far more of an indie drummer. Sort of came in to play with you guys, I think, and then after that is when I joined a couple of months after that. Originally on bass, which was odd thinking about it now. And then after a couple of attempts of finding another guitarist, I just decided to say, fuck it, let's just, I'll just stick to guitar. It's what I started learning and what I feel like I'm better at. So I went there. my best friend Nick, who like we were just talking about, has unfortunately left. He I got in touch with him. He said he was up for it, and came across like that. It was sort of the original 5 members. For what, 2 years? I think we were like that.
Yeah, 2 a bit years. Yeah, that's about right.
And then unfortunately, Kyle had to sort of step away for personal reasons as well. He's with a family, and he was sort of studying a college course at the time, and it was taking up a lot of his time and effort, and he just couldn't commit how he sort of would want to, as you know, to support us. So he stepped away, and then we had Kim's nephew Jordan for about 8 months.
Yeah. He is a grown man, by the way, which is nephew. He is like 30. It's not a child in the band.
He's not
I don't really get the lyric. I don't really get the logic of that. I still don't really fully understand. But yeah, he did. I think he did about 8 months, didn't he? Because he kind of was just coming back into the world of bands and stuff. So yeah, he kind of stepped in for about 8 months, didn't he? And then James, because he's Jordan's gone on to some kind of new opportunities, and so then we have James now. So yeah, I think it is quite testing, because there are certainly points at which we were like, oh, can we keep this going? Because it is hard when you lose key members like Nick, especially, who's been around from the start, and he helped write a lot of the songs like Overshadowed, which obviously starts, well, not obviously, if you've listened to it, it starts with like a whole bass intro, and it's got like a bass solo in it, and we kind of built it all around what he'd written for that. And he does a lot of that. He did a lot of the harsh vocals and things, so we're kind of like, oh, do we want to keep going? But then when we actually look back at where we started as a band, and certainly a song like Bored, which was our first single, which, God, again, was like 3 years ago. And at the time, we were really pleased with it. And looking back, it's just really basic, and it doesn't really sound like anything we do now. But then that's quite nice to see that, to kind of step back and go, well, actually, we've built, these great songs and this really good live set that we have, and, an online identity, and building up a following, and some good, like, lots of fans on Spotify, etc. So it seemed like it'd be a real shame just to step away from that. So yeah, we're all quite excited now. Like, it feels like this is now a start of something else. It's another evolution of the band. So yeah, we're excited to see what this year's going to bring, really.
Almost like a new chapter, essentially.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because it's just life. At the end of the day, we're really passionate about what we do, but we're not professional musicians. We've all got jobs. We've all got most of us have got families, or other commitments outside of the band as well. So, and it takes up a lot of time. It takes up a lot of energy,
and
money as well, and money. So, like, yeah, it can be hard at times. You're like, why are we doing this? Why are we putting ourselves through all this stress? But I think when we do like some, and we're lucky enough now that we're getting offered like good shows and some kind of smaller festival slots, etc. And when you get to play those shows, it's great. We've all done that stage where you start off and you're playing to kind of two guys and a dog in a pub, and they're not your audience either. They're not people who actually want to hear your music. So it's nice to have got past that stage, and now you're kind of playing in good venues with other good bands. So I think, yeah, it's easier to see it now, to go, actually, we've worked hard to get to this point, so let's keep going. Let's keep driving it forward.
Well, it's actually a funny story about how we got our first gig, wasn't it? Is that we lied to the guy, said we played loads of times before, but without actually telling him that it was our first gig, and he offered it to us. And it worked out. Luckily.
I mean, that's kind of on him for not doing his research and double checking who you guys actually were.
Yeah. and then Kimberly ruined it by literally came on stage and was like, by the way, everyone, this is our first gig. And he's like, fucking hell. And he's like, I hope it doesn't go tits up. We just shouted that from the back of the room. So we're just like, but actually, it went pretty well. It went pretty well. So
you're still here 3 years later. You're doing all right.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be quite intrigued to watch that set and be like, was it actually any good? I mean, it wasn't terrible. We didn't screw up. So I think that's all you can hope of your first one, is nothing goes horribly wrong. So it's all good.
I was going to say, are you the type of people that would love watching your old sets or some of your old footage, or are you the kind of people that's like, once it's done, it's done. Don't show me.
I can think of nothing more cringe than looking back on myself playing a show 2 years ago. I mean, Tom will attest to it. I'm quite a perfectionist, and when it comes to like songs, especially, but like playing live, if I was to see myself, I'd be like, just stop. Yeah, it's
It is.
I'm quite
I
too
think it's
harsh
a
on myself.
particularly guitarist thing because I like, but I think when everyone does it, everyone looks back and you. I think like because well, I hope we know we do it, but you will watch it knowing exactly how it's supposed to sound, and there'll be something like one bum note or something, and you're like, that's it, that's the worst thing that's ever happened. And most people, and I think 99% of people won't even know you've done that. And even if they are professional level guys, they're like, yeah, that's just what happens. It's live music. But yeah, I do find it. I'm the same. You look back and go, oh, shit, I was off key on that bit. I should have sung that better. I should have played that better. But then I think that it helps you get better as well. That you kind of see stuff and go, yeah, we could have had more. We could have more energy there, or we could have done this better. And I'm certainly always watching other bands and be like trying to steal the good stuff they do. Be like, oh, I really like how they did that, or that was really cool, or whatever it is. Just
I mean, it's
trying
definitely
to
helped us
improve
to
our
sort
stuff.
of, yeah, so it's helped us to push like kind of a show rather than five people on stage playing some music to a crowd. It's we try and put on more of a show and get ourselves over to the crowd in like a more theatrical way, and the sort of the dramatizing of it and the lore behind the band and behind what we're what we're pushing for as Kimberly being this sort of dark goddess, and we're sort of pushing down this sort of more melodic, hard hitting music style, and yeah, looking back on all the old stuff helps to it definitely helps to push that to where we've gotten now, which has been really good.
And you talk about that distinct live show, and I mean you look on social media, you look at the gigs. Kimberly's very much got a look. It's very much that theatrical side of things. So where did that idea come from? I think it's brilliant, and I think it is really cool to see. But where did it come from?
I think it was Kim, wasn't it? I think we took some inspiration from like Kim's very much into sort of the pagan folk sort of side of things, like bands like Heilung, Trobal de Morte, that kind of like theatrical paganist sort of side of it. And her being herself, she is quite a theatrical person. If you were to meet her, so it kind of fitted hand in hand, and we all just kind of adapted ourselves to fit in with that. She had that look, she had that kind of image, and we just sort of went with it. To be honest, she dragged us all along.
I think it was, yeah, it was kind of an evolution. I think, is that fair? Because I always think that with bands like Slipknot or whatever, like at what point did they just one day they went, right, we're all wearing boiler suits, we're all wearing these crazy masks, or even Sleep Token. Like there was that video recently of them at Great Escape in Brighton a couple of years ago, and it all looks like they're obviously doing the kind of mask, but it looks quite budget, like because they're obviously not a big band at that point. And I think, like Ollie says, like Kimberly is very theatrical. She's got a lot of energy on stage and exudes this kind of goddess vibe. And we were like, actually, we should play off this and make it more of a thing. And I think we're tapping into that. Like, there's a big crossover between kind of metal and fantasy and like gaming, etc. And so like, and because I'm really into that stuff. I know Ollie is as well, and actually Kim. So like, we're like, a lot of the people who are watching understand those references and can see the crossover. So I think, like Ollie says, we want it to be a show, not just a gig where you just stand there and play and then kind of mumble something between songs. We're like, we want the whole thing to be a big like immersive experience. And yeah, we're building on that every show. We're trying to make it more exciting, better for everyone. But yeah, I think it's been an evolution. It's taken a while for us to feel like, yeah, this is what we want to do. This is how we want to come across, kind of thing.
Definitely.
I think that's one thing I like that stands out straight away to like people that may not even listen to you. It's like, like I said, you check on social media. It's like, okay, these guys have a look. They've got a show, and we've all seen those gigs where musically they're brilliant, but they just stand dead still for like 30 minutes and do nothing. So it's about finding that balance. And I think once you've got the theatrics down, it makes it so much more fun and engaging from an audience perspective as well. So it is quite good to see. I don't know if it's more bands, but seeing it more often now, definitely them kind of adopting that theatrical approach with things.
Yeah, I think you're right. It makes a big difference. Like you say, we've all seen bands that are, as you say, technically, musically are spot on, but then as soon as they stop playing, it just kind of, and as you say, they're not moving, they're not really getting anyone G'd up. There's no interaction with the audience, and as you say, that is a craft that is really hard to do because you can easily get like, if it's too much, people are like not engaged in it, or whatever, or if you're just too cheesy, or if you break character life. We found that when you're doing it, you have to be like, right, this is what we're doing. We're not breaking character. We're not gonna, when we're on stage, we are a certain set of people, kind of alter egos or whatever that is, and you don't break it at all until you finish, till you come off. Which I think you've got to have that mindset before you go on and be like, right, this is what we're doing. Like no one, and people don't question it, which is quite funny because you think people are going to think we're nuts, but you're like, oh no, they're like, okay, so you're some like weird kind of pagan Viking thing. Yeah, cool. I've got it. I'm going.
We buy it. Cool.
Going for it.
Does that make it easier or kind of harder when performing if you're kind of stepping into that mindset of like a character almost? Or
I don't know. Personally, for me, I literally have an alter ego that I use. So like because Kimberly hated talking between songs, and I obviously love the sound of my own voice. So I was like, well, look, I can take that off you because again, she's singing, so she's putting out a lot of energy. So we kind of started off and we did it between us, but again, it was a bit pally, cheesy, and it didn't quite suit the look. So then I remember at practice one day, I think I said to him, I said, look, I've got an idea of this character called Geralt from The Witcher, obviously. And, he's going to talk like this and he's going to say kind of stuff in the style of The Witcher and that kind of Skyrim like fantasy world, and everyone was like, this is really cringe. I don't think this is going to work. I don't think initial reactions are great, but I was like, look, we'll just try it. I was like, let's just try it, and people just like, oh, okay, yeah, this is fine. And actually I've had a lot of people when I've come off stage because I use like a different voice and they're like, oh, that's quite disappointing, you actually don't talk like that. And I was like, yeah, sorry, it trashes my voice if I do it too much. But yeah, I think. So go on.
You should just keep it up for an entire night and see if anyone actually notices it's not your.
I know. Well, I think people thought I was like Norwegian or like German or stuff. But I was like, well, I'm obviously doing an all right job if they're kind of convincing them I'm a totally different person. And I think, yeah, for me, I know Kimberly does that. She goes into a kind of zone before she goes on, and she's like, because she's a big fan of the Morrigan, which is like Celtic goddess. So that's where she's like, when I go on, I am this goddess. Like I don't, and she wears like the blindfold now and stuff. So it's like she's like above everyone in this, and she properly inhabits that character. Because she's very easy to talk to. She'll talk to anyone. So she's kind of like, no, I've got to kind of shut that down and go into this character. So I think it does help because you kind of have that little. I mean, it can be challenging in some venues because some places there is no green room. It's just a tiny toilet with stickers all over the mirror. You're trying to do your wall paint and you're like, yeah, this isn't happening. So, but that's all part of the fun, really. It's like, it's never perfect, the prep, but then that ability to kind of flick that switch in your head and go, right, we're now performing. And once you go, you don't kind of, oh, is everyone okay? It's like, no, we're in like battle mode now. We're going.
Once you kind of start, you start. I mean, it's like, say, watching a film or something, you start the film ends, and then it's normal.
Yeah, 100%. Well, like Ollie came up with the kind of intro music that we use, and it's this kind of quite epic Lord of the Rings-esque intro, and then I kind of do this like monologue over the top of it and try and get people, and Ollie's playing and the drums are going, and everyone's like, oh wow, this is quite different, rather than just starting a song. So it gets everyone hopefully in that headspace to go, okay, this is a big performance, big over the top fantasy stuff. So yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun doing it. So yeah,
that's the thing. It's like things like that, could be taken really either way. So it's really nice that audiences have just kind of been like, this is cool. We vibe with it. This is great.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, we weren't sure. We didn't think people were going to just be like, oh, for God's sake, what are you doing? Like, kind of thing. Because British people can be a bit like that. But actually, we've always had great responses from crowds. And I think, again, because the people we're playing to that's a big part of a lot of their lives. Like there's, certain references I'll make, and people are like, oh, that's a line from Skyrim, isn't it? I was like, yeah, it is. And like the other people, and a lot of people might not get that. They'll just be like, oh, but if people can pick up on what, video game or what film, I might drop in a bit or like slightly twist it. People like that. They feel like they're like, they're part of the joke. They get what we're trying to do. So yeah, it's good fun, and it's nice that people seem to like it and go with us on that.
So then, kind of obviously talking about the songs themselves. Obviously, today, day of recording. Not sure when this will be released, but obviously, you've released a brand new track, Remain Untamed. So congratulations on that release.
Thank you.
I think on first listen, especially at the start, I was like, okay, this is just feels like classic heavy metal, which is great. And then the breakdown at the end just took me by complete surprise. The sort of chuggy bit at the end. So I'd be interested to kind of know what the writing process was for this track.
It's to be fair, it's kind of been the same for most of them. We come up with some kind of a riff, some kind of a hook, and I tend to go a bit crazy and build upon that and go a bit nuts with it. Nick came up with the riff to Remain Untamed, actually, the original one. And then I think we sort of took it to practice. All of us sort of added bits in, took bits out, and then it seems to be the way it goes for most of our songs. Is I'll come, or Tom will come with a sort of an almost sort of fleshed out song, quite like structured, and then we'll be like, okay, well, let's move that bit there, this bit there, and then obviously Kim's vocals on the top tend to be a big part of it too, especially for Remain Untamed, because there is, I think it's the catchiest sort of chorus we've written so far, because it's very easy to sing along to. Kim's vocals really soar on it, and it just really sort of elevated it above even our last song, above Bloodflow, I feel, and it's pushing us in that sort of direction of being in that quite epic sort of style of it. And writing songs is, anyone can write a song. It takes a certain set of people to sort of come together and make it something you can put out there to show people. I've written hundreds of songs in my life. I want to say maybe 1% of them are any good. The rest have all just sat on my phone as random riffs here and there. They've been like, oh, that sounds good, this will sound good. But then, eventually they just get forgotten. And that's kind of the way I think most bands work, isn't it? You just kind of, you have to push yourself to what once you've got that hook, you've got that sort of initial idea. It's just about sort of honing in on that. And I can spend anywhere from hours to days to weeks writing a song and chopping and changing it and moving things about. And with Remain Untamed, it actually came relatively quickly, I think. Like I said, we had the original riff. We sort of built on that, come up with the sort of chorus, and then I think what took the longest was the vocals. I think Kim was struggling to sort of get that vibe of what we were playing, because it's the first time we've used a lower tuning on the guitars as well. So she sort of had to adjust herself a little bit, which I think has made it a tiny bit easier, because she doesn't have to sing quite so high as what we were doing, and it gives us that sort of more deeper sort of sound, and pushing us in that direction that we were looking for, which has been really exciting. And like I said, today is a culmination of all of that, and I'm very proud of the song, and onwards and upwards to recording more and pushing it again.
Yeah, are there plans to kind of record more, or is it just kind of getting together, writing, and just seeing what happens?
I think we're in the process of writing at the minute, aren't we now, Tom? And I think we're gonna our idea is sort of get recording in the next sort of couple of months. Once we've got a few solid ideas floating around at the minute, and hopefully have another song. What we aiming for now? July, maybe August, something like that, depending on how it goes. But yeah, it's all down to how many times we can get together. If everyone's free, we all need to learn the song, come up with ideas, work on it together, and it's all just one big process. And some come naturally, some come, we'll go to a session, literally bang it out there, the song done. Other times we'll play it, we didn't really like it, we'll leave it there, come back to it, and it can take months, could take weeks, could take days, but we eventually come around to something, I think.
And then when it comes to recording, are you kind of the approach of getting together, doing it DIY, or kind of finding a studio producer, going down that route?
No, we've got a guy, Casey, who works at Air Raid Studios. Plug for him because he's awesome. It's up near Red Hill. And we've done the last few kind of big tracks we've done with him. And he's great because he's a kind of really talented musician himself. Like, does a lot of stuff. He's in a lot of bands. And he just kind of, he seems to get, because we work with him a fair bit now, he definitely gets the sound we're going for. So that kind of, I say, that heavy but melodic bit, and you can get that guitar tone straight away, and getting kind of Kimberly's vocals kind of floating on top, because that's really tricky as well, because it's really easy to have, obviously it's got these really powerful chuggy guitars and blast beats on the drums, and to not let Kimberly's vocals get swamped and all that, which it's hard to do. It's really hard to get that balance. So yeah, we kind of feel really safe with him, if that makes sense, and he does the mixing as well. So yeah, it's good. I mean, like I say, it wouldn't be a fact that we'd never go anywhere else, but I think when you have a process that works and you feel like, yeah, he's just really great. He kind of will make suggestions and stuff, like a lot of the kind of little bits in it. He'll be like, "Oh, have you thought about doing this?" And I was like, "I don't even know." And we're kind of like, "I don't know." And then you play it and go, "Oh yeah, that is quite cool." Because like you say, with the breakdown bit, he was like, "Oh, how do you feel like about making it more epic with the kind of synthy element to it?" So yeah, I think it's that balance of having someone who gets it and is prepared to put in a little bit of a prompt here and there to go, well, what do you think about this or about that? But also, it's very much, if we said, no, we want to do it this way, he'd be like, yeah, absolutely, it's your song. So yeah, and it's kind of that evolution as well, that we started off and it was kind of rather more DIY, etc. But I think, again, you've got to go through that process to know how you want to do stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's really good fun. It's great because we always feel like we 100% know how the song's going to come out, and then we go and record it and we're like, oh no, it doesn't quite work. Like, a lot of the time we, like, me and Ollie will be playing a slightly different riff because we've obviously played quite loudly in a live environment. It sounds fine when you're live, and then you do it and you're like, no, one of us is doing this and you're doing that. And so then kind of going right into the weeds of it and going, okay, well, we need to change this or change that, or just coming up with something totally different and going, how about if we just did this over this bit? And that's a really fun thing. And I love that whole thing of going in the studio and it's all just an idea. And then when you come out, it's a song, it's an actual song, which is great. It's a great feeling.
Have you got any songs that have kind of changed like super drastically from like early conception to the final recording, or is the kind of the concept still pretty much good at staying the same throughout?
I don't know, Ollie, do you think any of them have changed massively from?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just bits and pieces. We have the sort of core. We always have a core structure that we're going with, and once that's sort of set, I mean, we rarely tend to change it. It's always the flourishes and bits over the top that tend to get added. The vocal tweaks and like Tom said, like orchestral bits and little flary bits that we can add on top, like drum rolls and reverse drum snares, that kind of thing. And but the solid structure is 9 times out of 10 there. I think if I remember rightly, I think the only one that we changed was I want to say Feed Me Fire, which was quite a few years ago now, but with a different guy. I think we were playing with it in a studio, and I remember changing something up.
Yeah, you're right. Like, I can't think what it was now because we're so used to the song, and we're like, yeah, there was something we did change. I can't think what it was because I was like, no, let's not change it. And then you played it, and we were like, actually, yeah, that does sound better. That does sound better.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, most of the time we have sort of an idea, and luckily they tend to sort of sound possible. So we just kind of go with it, roll with it, and make it the best we can.
Yeah, because I don't think we've had any songs that we haven't played a lot live. I mean, I think all the songs we've recorded, we've played them multiple times live before we've recorded them. So we haven't had anything that's like totally fresh, like unexposed to the world. So I think you kind of get a vibe off a crowd and go, well, actually, that sounds, people like that. People seem to think that's good. So I think, yeah, there's rarely, as you say, a massive change. It's all like tweaks or little bits in here, or maybe a slight vocal bit that we think, oh, we didn't do that before, or a lot of the times it's the harmonies as well. Like Kimberly won't do harmonies before she goes in, and then we'll just kind of find them. And actually, Casey's really good at doing them as well, kind of finding where the harmonies are to layer it up and all the rest of it, which obviously you can't really do live unless using a backing track, which we've started doing a bit now, just to kind of give that extra epicness to the performance.
So then I guess kind of talking about the general epicness and just being cautious of time, so wrapping up now as well. So for people that haven't seen you before, haven't listened to you before, and say they just rock up at a festival that you're playing or a lineup, what's one of the biggest things you want kind of audiences to take away from a Rogue Awakening gig?
I mean, I think it can be anything in terms of, I think I'd want people to go, wow, that was like a real assault on the senses, like a lot of energy. And we're kind of this odd thing that we I always find when we do gigs, we're either the heaviest band or we're the lightest band, which is a good and a bad thing, because we've obviously played some things and everyone's like, oh god, this isn't metal, this isn't proper metal.
You've made it as a metal band when people are saying, oh, you're not metal.
Yeah, you're just a bunch of posers. So yeah, I think I take that as a compliment, because I'm like, well, we're not hardcore, we're not deathcore, that's not us. But and then on the flip side, you'll be on a lineup and it'll be kind of indie-ish rock bands, and they'll be like, wow, these guys are pretty full on. So I think we're quite accessible in that way. So there's stuff for the real hardcore metal guys, and there's stuff for the kind of, I don't know how you describe your average music listener. So there's a lot of people, if I say to them, I'm in a metal band, and they're like, oh my god, do you make like the pig noises and the screaming? And I'm like, that's a different kind of metal. It's metal, but it's a different kind of metal. Like Lorna Shore stuff, but like, yeah, so it's that. But then when they hear it, they're like, oh, actually, it's quite good. And I'm like, yeah, metal is good. And I still think the stuff like Sleep Token, it's like the ultimate entry band at the moment, that you could show that to someone. So, well, yeah, it is metal, but it's not what you think it's going to be. So I think, yeah, basically, if someone comes to a show, there's a lot of energy, a lot of crowd engagement. Just want people to really get into the music. And Kimberly's phenomenal live, as is Ollie's. Like, Ollie's solos are sick, and James is drumming. So I think to be able to kind of just absorb, take it all in, and just come away going, wow, that was really cool. I'm not really sure what happened there, but I really enjoyed it. That, for me personally, is what I'd want someone to go away from our shows feeling.
I just want people to have a good time. That's the main thing, is that people, you have to explain to a lot of bands, especially ones that just come on, they rock up on stage and they play some instruments. Like, people will quite often pay to come see you. You need to give them a reason that they paid, and
Absolutely.
That's what we try and do. That we try and engage people. I try and go a bit crazy, get people interested. Do things a bit hit off the bat here and there, and just keep people interested, keep people coming back. And we've had quite a few people who will keep coming to see us because they just enjoy our show and they like the music. And it's really nice to see that sort of continued engagement from people. And if people are having a good time, then we're having a good time, and it's all been worth it. All the thousands of hours we spent practicing, all the thousands of pounds we spent on gear, the 2-hour drive we've done to get there. It's all worth it at the end of the day if people have a good time and they go away from our show by liking our Facebook, following our music, playing our music, and sort of remembering us that way. And that's the way I sort of see it.
Yeah, I mean, you've summed it up pretty well. Have fun, enjoy it, and then that'll feed into what the audience enjoy as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think, and Ollie's got it spot on there. Times are tough, and you are asking people to put their hand in the pocket and pay to see you. So you want to go, well, actually, even if it's not 100% what they thought they were going to see, but I don't want to leave any doubt that we're just turning up and going through the motions. It's like, no, we're going to go and we're going to be dripping in sweat. We're going to leave it all out there. And as you say, put on a really good show for these people. And I still think it's like the biggest compliment for me is, people who we don't know, who aren't our friends, family, who pay money to come and see us and buy our merch and come back again to see us. Like, I mean, that's amazing, really, that, you know, they're coming to see us because they like it, because they like the music, they like the show. So I think, you know, the more we can do that, the more we can engage people, and the more people come back, then that's awesome. And we've done a good job in that case.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've summed it up perfectly.
There you go. Not all nonsense. I don't talk just total nonsense. I talk a lot of nonsense, but yeah.
and not too much quoting other band members that aren't here either.
I know. I should do more than that. Be like, Kimberly's like, no one look me in the eye. I demand that. It's very hard work. She's very hard work. She's not really. She's lovely.
I'd look forward to keeping an eye out and waiting for a gig that I can kind of catch you guys at, because that'd be quite cool.
Yeah, it'd be great. Love to have you along. It'd be great.
Got any ones lined up at all soon, or?
Yeah, so I should have everything's written down.
Worthing next week with 23rd.
23rd, you're right, yeah.
23rd. Then we've got Guildfest.
Yeah, I think got Portsmouth before that. I think that's the 31st of May in Portsmouth. And then Guildfest, you're right, I think 6th of July. And then I think, oh God, this is testing me now. Yeah, best to go on our socials and check. And then we're doing, is it Southampton? I want to say Southampton, yeah.
No, Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, that's right, close but no cigar. And actually Eastbourne as well. Eastbourne, that's what we're doing. So Eastbourne in August. They're kind of a tour of the South Coast at the moment. And yeah, we've got a few gigs that haven't been locked in 100% yet, but hopefully we'll come to it. So yeah, best bet is to, well, actually, even if you go on our Spotify, we've got all the gigs listed on there as well. So if you ever just go on our profile or Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that stuff. So give us a like, give us a follow, good hard plug there. Be bombarding you with nonsense at all times. So hopefully there'll be a gig near you. Or if you want us to come and play, suggest some places, put us in touch with a promoter and we'll come and play there.
There you go. There. Yeah.
We'll do this stuff. That's how we roll.
They're available and professional.
Not always. We try.
Just let people think that you're professional,
exactly.
And then they'll find out after they've agreed to it.
So semi-pro, let's say.
But no,
pay first, bit later.
Yeah, precisely. But no, thank you so much for kind of coming on here, supporting this page. Yeah.
Thanks so much for having us. We appreciate
it. Everybody go stream Remain Untamed.
Thanks very much. Hope you love it.